Hello, I am That Dude with the Beard, and today I'm going to be jumping a bandwagon. And that bandwagon is Guptill 89. Now, I did this before, but that first commentary was awful, and I stand by that. So I'm here to bring you a better Guptill commentary on his most recent video, him complaining that the internet is not a paradise. And we're going to see why. Oh God, are we going to see why. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this commentary.
Blockbuster, an organization once known for having nationwide rental stores.
And let's not forget
places
those
where people
bad
could
decisions.
walk around and browse what kind of movies and games they had. It was something that was homey and friendly.
Oh yeah, you never went to buy a
Video
Blockbuster,
arcades,
did you?
places where citizens could waltz around and try out what game cabinets were available, and use a claw machine filled with toys.
I fucking hate those things.
Paper letters, messages that were sent back and forth all the time between friends and family. And finally, film photography, a circumstance that involved taking pictures with a camera and then bringing the rolls of film to a photosmith to develop.
What the fuck is a photosmith?
These four things were really good to abide by. They involved a lot of traveling, but were simple nonetheless. Until all that changed. These four elements that used to be parts of life have been replaced almost entirely by these products.
PS3,
items
Xbox
that access
360,
the
Wii,
information
iPod,
superhighway.
and iPhone? I am not very happy about this current situation, people.
I really don't want to sound preachy. Make it sound like I'm repeating what I already thought about the current World Wide Web. But when something you feel is important comes along, you
like the
need
G,
to speak.
or those
Here's the deal.
shopping carts.
The one major problem about
cursing,
the internet that I didn't think
Fred.
to mention before is that in most cases, it is killing physical socialization, something we humans were meant to do daily. With Blockbuster LLC closing every single rental store and moving everything they do to cyberspace, online gaming causing so many video arcades to go out of business, and so on, it seems to me that laziness has...
Guptill, there's this thing called convenience that the gaming industry is known for. Despite the fact that arcade games really aren't convenient, Super Nintendo, the Sega Dreamcast, the Atari Jaguar, amongst other things, were more convenient to play rather than going to the arcade store. Also, Blockbuster made terrible decisions which resulted in really bad business. And every Blockbuster that I went to was never friendly. They were assholes to me all the time. So please, try to do some research, or at least not give out stupid personal opinions on things without experiencing it firsthand.
Has reached a whole new level. The way I see it, it seems to me that hundreds of people have forgotten the one simple fact that any piece of technology has the potential to stop working.
Shit just went down!
And once it stops working, you either spend lots more money to buy the same electronic object, or you play it smart and you save a lot of dough by not purchasing the same item. And power outages also play a part in electronics failures.
It's called rechargeable batteries,
Why am I pointing out
dumbass.
the obvious? Well, to quote Undertaker Freak 1127, technology is not infallible. It's never perfect.
You
it never
obviously
lasts
have never
forever.
had a
See,
Super
if you
Nintendo.
take the
That
time
shit
to
lasts
think
forever.
about it, do you really need such high-tech stuff that in the old days only the military used? No, you don't. Heck, I used to use a regular mobile phone. Barely, but I've gotten to the point where I don't need to use one anymore because, first
Text
of all,
does not mean
there's
you covered up
plenty
the
of paid
boo-boo,
phones
you
around the
idiot.
parts where I live, and secondly, I don't have to worry about people constantly calling me and sending me text messages because every time you receive or make a call, you end up spending more money than you need to.
You just talked about social interaction, and now you're saying you don't talk to people?
Telling me that this problem
God, there's a
can be
loophole in
remedied
logic
by
for you if I ever
switching
did
off
see
your
one.
cell phone. Picture this. Imagine if your companions were having a party, getting loaded, something awful happens to a friend, and another friend tries to inform you about the situation. If your cell phone is off, either they're asked to leave a message, or the dial tone keeps going on for infinity until they hang up. they'd be pretty unhappy, don't you think?
And your friend
The only
would be
people I can
dead.
think of
Great
who
job,
need
Guptill.
something
You
as
certainly
expensive
told us
as an
something
iPhone
today.
Are important people, like a leader of a country or a fireman or policeman.
Online.
That's kind of kicking the balls to me. You just said only important people deserve an iPhone or something like that. You're pretty much saying that people who do have it and can afford it don't deserve it. Do you think before you upload? Do you check before you upload? Because you're coming off as some sort of asshole who thinks he knows everything.
Online gaming is, of course, another parasite of physical socialization. Like I mentioned earlier, it's causing every single arcade in the world, except in Japan, to lose profit and close. It isn't...
I understand that you're talking about social interaction on a face-to-face medium. The problem is that online gaming also has this thing called headphones, which allow people to get this, talk, strategize, yell and scream about how their mothers are fat. Sure, it might not be the best way to socialize, but it can still happen. I'm sorry, Guptill, but you're not taking every single thing into... You know what? Never mind. This is Guptill. He doesn't do anything aside from accuse everybody else from being idiots. Go on.
just home console ports of arcade games. Do arcades need the World Wide Web to function? Nope. Even though you have to pay to use a game cabinet, Xbox Live does the same thing in the web-enabled world. That means you're losing a lot of cash playing a shooter game all day long, and you're not getting out as much as you should. While the PlayStation Network and Nintendo Wii's Matrix offer free service, the fact of the matter still stands. The information superhighway can suddenly go down out of the blue, and it can take days or even weeks to be restored. If you've seen my second technology rant, it's especially bad if hackers are involved. There's even people whose internet goes down all the time.
Guptill, I know this is going to shatter your small, fragile little mind, but we live in 2012, where security for our computers is much greater than the 90s. We also have stronger internet connections than the 90s. You're coming off as this so-called internet, whatever that may be, is as fragile as it used to be, when it's not. It's far better than what it used to be. And the biggest problem I have with this is that you come off like you know this, and you don't. You're just a fucking YouTuber who makes rants. Poorly constructed rants.
And sure, the plan for a cyberspace blackout on March 31st was denied, yet there will always be a chance of a blackout because, once again, technology isn't perfect. There isn't much to say about film
Then why are you going to talk about it? If you don't have much to say, then what's the point of discussing it? Nitwit.
photography and paper letters. Digital cameras and email have almost entirely replaced these two things. They're still around, but quite rare. Practically, the only people I know who write paper letters are the poor, the Amish, prisoners, and military people away from home. And film photography, well, only about 4% of the world would like to have physical developed photos. Still, a film photo has better quality than a digital image.
Oh, you are dead wrong. My uncle is a professional photographer, and he uses a digital camera because of the sharper image, less grain on the picture. Not only that, but the amount of detail you can grab with a simple digital camera is far superior than that of a physical copy. I'm sorry, Guptill, but you are as dumb as they come. This backwards mentality of yours is destroying what probably could have been a decent rant. But unfortunately, that fell short years ago.
I would prefer to have a film photo on my wall over a pixelated and fugitively inked one. I myself am interested in film photography, but it won't be easy at all to find a film camera since you'll only be able to find one on eBay, at a flea market, a yard sale, or a thrift store. And for most of the world, photosmiths are extinct. The only people who really develop film these days are X-ray technicians and dentists.
Guptill, it's called keeping up with the times. When something is no longer required, it usually fades out. Something that you obviously don't know how to do. You should fade out yourself. Because in all reality, you bring this level of stupidity and self-importance to your videos, which obviously makes me believe that you value only your opinion, and anyone who dares to disagree with you is a fucking moron. And how do I know this? Well, let's face it, you've disabled likes, you've disabled the comments, and you also have to approve of somebody's comment. Grow up, Guptill. We don't live in the 1990s.
In short, iPhones, online gaming, what have you, with the exception of computers, are just very expensive toys. These are the things the companies and you think you need. And let me remind the viewers that I am talking to regular people. You know what's more important than your expensive smartphones, being glued to your seat playing a web-enabled game, and so on?
Outside and inside exercise, playing an instrument, spending time with a close friend, and of course, book reading. But
so your soccer mom-esque reasoning, I guess you could call it, has finally come out. And all I can say is, damn. You are some kind of stupid if you believe the internet and gaming causes this. Because we've been through this in the 90s, and it was proven that that's not what the problem is. That's never been the problem. The problem is that people like you assume that this is going to happen, and in reality, it doesn't. You're just a little retard who likes to sit in front of your computer and complain about things that no one gives a shit about. But I'm not really going on my tangent any further. I'm going to let him just shoot himself in the foot now.
even book reading is getting a little ruined too with a device called the iPad, a device that requires a battery to run, and you can use it to go online and download a book. I don't see such a big deal about heading to your local library or Barnes & Noble and picking out a physical book that requires no electricity and can last for eternity.
And that's where you're wrong, Guptill, because mold can get affected. Mold can grow on your books if it's rotting or if it gets wet enough. I'm sorry, Guptill, but you're just as stupid as a lot of the people around where I live, where they think mold does not exist. Mold does, and it will seriously affect you in the long run. Mold has a tendency to bring you to the point of where you cannot move. You have to understand that this book that you have is going to eventually start growing mold, and when that happens, you're going to have to burn it. You can't keep it forever there, buddy.
The same thing also applies to renting DVDs. I mean, Netflix and Blockbuster Online are okay, but people have streamed movies and rented them off the web to the point where most, if not every rental store in America has gone out of business. Thankfully, physical DVD rental is still going thanks to Redbox kiosks and public libraries. Again, I don't see anything wrong with heading to either one and browsing around for a movie. You may argue that you'd be paying more for car gas, yet the same thing applies to the delivery people helping Netflix. Besides streaming, would you rather wait for the borrowed movie to arrive at your house, or head to a store or kiosk and purchase it right away?
Guptill, I'm putting on my Guptill hat now, okay? Listen, Guptill, there is one major problem with what you're saying. What if the aforementioned DVD store, or the public library, or a superstore doesn't have the DVD you're looking for? I'll tell you what happens. You've wasted a good amount of gas. And I know you said that that might not be a problem, but it is, Guptill. It's called money. And if you waste your money by getting a lot of gas, you won't have enough money to buy your movie. And if you do buy your movie, that's also a bad thing. Because it could be $20, whereas Netflix, you can rent as many movies as you want for $8 a month. You're not thinking correctly. You're thinking as if that everything needs to go back to the way it was. You're not being smart. You're generalizing everything and anything of the current generation. And that makes you less of a man.
Either way, driving is required unless you can get there on foot. Seriously though, this quote-unquote on-demand streaming business has got to stop. I just want the people who aren't interested in having cyberspace and mobile phones to be fresh out of luck. In a situation like this, the so-called weak should not have to make room for the strong. Having both physical and electronic interactivity is a more sensible lifestyle for people to live. And I know what most of you are thinking. You're thinking, you idiot! All this is like saying we should go back to using the telegraph and carrier pigeons instead of...
You're right, Guptill. That's exactly how you sound. But there's a problem with that, and it's called, get this, being obsolete. Things like video stores are virtually almost obsolete. Virtually. There's still a few here and there, and arcade machines still exist in smaller areas. Hell, at my local bowling alley, there are still arcade games. But unfortunately for you, you're making it sound like these things are plentiful. They're not. They're almost gone. People are buying arcade games to take to their house now. And you seem to think that all of these things are better than the new stuff, which is not true. We have evolved since then. And look what we have. We have online gaming that encourages social interaction. We have phones that we talk on all the time with texting and Twitter and all kinds of things. But to you, that's as inconvenient as a thorn in someone's foot. I'm sorry, but you sound like a complete and utter smeghead.
The telephone! Well, that kind of change was proper. The telegraph and phone both require electricity, but the phone is obviously more efficient because the telegraph sent messages through Morse code, and we obviously don't talk in Morse code. On the other hand, something like streaming films through Netflix instead of physically browsing for a movie in a store or library isn't more rewarding. It's just easy. Sometimes the phone service malfunctions, sometimes the internet service malfunctions, and they leave you no choice but to go an old way.
Warning, what you're about to hear is me doing a dramatic reenactment of Guptill after witnessing the fact that he lost a connection to the internet and a signal to his phone. Please be aware, this is extremely stupid. Darn it! I just can't believe it. My computer does not have an internet connection. That means I have to go to my stupid public library, which is 15 minutes away, and I have to drive. It's not like I could just go to my router and press the restart button, or click on my icon on the desktop that says reconnect. Nope, that would be too damn hard. Oh, and get this. Look, my phone has no reception. I could just move to the left, but that would just be stupid. I should instead just go outside and use a payphone, despite the fact it can cost up to $50. So I think. I mean, it's not like if I could just pay for things on my cell phone, which could allow me unlimited minutes and unlimited texting for all as much as $90 a month. Wait. Nah, I don't care. Besides, technology sucks, and as long as the 80s is still around, I can still boogaloo like doogagoo.
All I'm saying is, there's more to life than all these nifty devices. I may use a computer that has internet, but I used it in the way that it was meant to be used. For work, certain research, or for finding something that I can't find elsewhere in the real world, and for broadcasting this message.
And my Sonic Females porn.
You need to be tethered to the internet. Expand your horizons, like I urged earlier.
But you can still get jobs from like online applications.
Go on a date with someone you like, or manually shop for something that doesn't need to be ordered online.
Oh my god.
If it's possible in your area. That is all. Thank you for watching.
So that was his quote-unquote video. And what do I have to say? Well, Guptill, you had one good point. The internet is trying to lessen our face-to-face time, but unfortunately, there's a lot of things around that. There's loopholes that you didn't get. There was a shit ton of things that you ignored in order to make your point look more valuable and look more, how should I say, concrete, but unfortunately it didn't. I'm sorry, Guptill, but the more you upload videos like this, the more people are going to look at you like you're some sort of dumbass. And it's true, you are. You seem to believe that the past was way more important and way better than nowadays. We are people of convenience, and if something is convenient for us, we are going to like it way more than going out of our way. I'm sorry, Guptill, but your argument falls flat on its face. I'm that dude with the beard, and I have to play Dead Island now.